recording oral history interview for Milton Jordan of the 17th Armored Infantry Battalion, 12th Armored Division, World War II. Interview taking place at the 2009 reunion, Branson, Missouri. First, sir, I'd like to thank you for agreeing to sit with me again. And we can just, start talking. And before you joined the Army, before you got in the Army, what were you doing? Were you a student or were you at work already?
Well, I was working. I was living on a farm and doing farm work.
Now, when you joined the Army, did you enlist in the Army or did they draft you?
Drafted.
Okay. Do you remember where you took your basic training?
Fort McClellan, Alabama.
Okay. And how did you, as a kid growing up on the farm, how did you find transitioning from being a farm kid to being a soldier?
Quite a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a difference.
Now, when did you come to join the 12th Armored Division?
In 1944, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Now, was it that at Campbell or at Barclay?
Barclay.
Okay, and after growing up there, moving to Texas, how did you find Abilene and the people and the weather?
Well, not too much different from what we had where I was raised. Mm-hmm. Just an old country boy.
Yep. Now, going overseas on the ship, what can you tell me about the journey over there?
Well, that was something else. That was kind of a messed up deal. Overcrowded, mm-hmm. And I don't know. Of course, my mind's not as good as it used to be. Forgot a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all right.
But we had a pretty crowded ship going over.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people talk about the food too.
Well, now I can't say too much about the food. We had good cooks who were on that ship. We got good food as we were going over. A lot of them said, they didn't like it. Well, of course, I don't think they liked anything. But I thought it was all right for the situation that we were in. So I didn't do too much complaining.
Now, once you got to England, can you tell me anything about what it was like?
Well, driving on the wrong side of the street was the worst thing. But they were considerably different than American people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought they were anyway. The way they eat, and the way they done this and done that. But everything, they seemed like they had done everything in a cycle. They all, where we were born and raised on a farm, we done as we pleased, but over there it seemed like, I don't know, they had routines that they went through and just considerably different than what I've been used to. And,
did you get on pretty well with the English people, or not much?
Well, I got along pretty well with them. I didn't seem to be too much. The way they talked, one thing and that is considerably different than what I was used to,
Now, of course, going across the channel from England to France, probably a whole lot easier than coming across the ocean.
Well, yeah, considerably. Yeah, we went across this little little boats.
Oh, on the LSTs, right?
Yeah, that's about all it was.
Now, once in France, when you got into France and they were basically going into combat, what was your job within the division? What did you do?
Well, we just an infantry soldier. So, but we had to. Well, we give up that rifle things we had because we couldn't carry them, and so we left them off the side. Just took regular Army rifle.
Mm-hmm.
But what we were trained to do, we really couldn't do it in England because they just didn't have the facilities to do what we'd done in this before we left. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you there at the Battle of Herlisheim?
Let's see, those lines.
Around the middle of January 45.
Let's see, in 45. No, I don't think so. I think, let's see, we went over in 44. In 45, I'd probably, well, I think I'd been, at that time, I think I was in the hospital. Froze my feet, see. We'd, no clothes and nothing out there, and I froze my feet, and I couldn't walk there I stayed in the hospital for, I think about 4 months.
Wow.
So,
Now, after you were released from the hospital, did they send you back to the line, or did they send you back to the States?
went back to back to the end of France and Germany. So I went on into Berlin after the war was over, and then things and stayed for. See, I didn't get home until in 46, I believe it was.
It took you a while to get your points together to come back.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Now, once the shooting stopped, how did you find the German people?
Well, the German people were just like us. They didn't want no war. See, they hated Hitler, but they couldn't say that. See, because they'd hang them, shoot them, do whatever they felt like they wanted to. But those German people didn't. They didn't want that war. But old Hitler, he was going to conquer the world, see, but he liked a long time doing that. But I thought the German people were pretty nice people.
Now, after the war was over and you were still in Germany, what kind of work were you doing?
Well, really, we were more or less just like policemen. After the war was over, we had different things to do, and to see that things got set up back up again and running and so but we had. See, I was in France and then back into Germany and was all over. Went on into Berlin, stayed there for quite a while, and got everything set up. We were more just like policemen than anything else.
Right.
Because the native people done all the work.
Mm-hmm. Now, after you were mustered out of the Army, you came back to the States. What did you do after that?
When I come home, well, I was living on a farm. Well, it was back to my home place in Jackson, Ohio. And I took up farming, fooled down on the farm till I starved off. So I had a job. I had a job working in farming too. So,
anything else you feel you'd like to add or say, or any memories that jump out that you want to talk about?
well, not much because, well, I wasn't in too good a shape when I first come back from there because I froze my feet and I couldn't, having problems with walking and had to watch what I was doing. Cold weather and different stuff, and I just, then I finally, after that, I went into business for myself, and into grocery business, general merchandise business for quite a number of years, and retired at that. So I put about 30 years in at that, and I retired. Well, I said I retired, but I kept on working for them. Because I was never much of a person that could sit very long. I had to be doing something, so I done the best that I could do with what I had to do with. So.
Well, sir, I want to thank you for agreeing to sit down with me and take this interview.
That's all right.